And welcome back to the Going for Two podcast. This is Christopher Magnus along with Cody Kugler. We are live in the MBEC. It is April 30th, the last day of April. We've been on a 29-day break. Actually, we did a podcast last week, but someone screwed up the audio on it. It's just a lot of work.
We're back.
It's a lot of work. Cody, how you doing today?
Doing good.
Doing good. A lot has happened. As Duke fans, we had our heart ripped out since then.
And watched Houston with their hearts ripped out Duke style.
Yeah, Houston became the new Duke. Lost that. Watched Rory try to give away the Masters, but he couldn't.
Masters gave it right back to him.
The Masters gave it right back to him. No more good memes on Twitter either. Like the one, like the kid sitting on Santa's lap, and it says, "What do you want for Christmas?" 2 choices, and it says, "I want Rory to win the Masters. I want a dinosaur." And he says, "What kind of dinosaur do you want?"
What color? We can make it. We can do a personal package for you.
So yeah. But thanks for joining us. We're gonna post this tonight. And it's April. It's kind of the lull. April's a great sports month. I was in Cancun for a part of it, but yeah, it's a. And first thing I gotta say is thoughts and prayers to all the spring athletes this year.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, this
Cancellation University.
Winter just does not want to let go. And I'm scheduled to umpire on Friday. It's going to be a high of 43 on Friday with possible rain. So
it goes from winter to muck to summer.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we get summer, but it's kind of not to be problematic with the weather, but like the last 3 years, it's like September's our new June, it feels like.
It does, yes.
Because September, I mean, I haven't worn long sleeves in September in 3 years as a high school official. But yeah, thanks for joining us. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about the draft, or as I like to call it, the four stages of Mel Kiper's sadness. He's in anger.
Mel's mental state.
Yeah, Mel's mental state. He was in anger. He was in denial. He was in acceptance. And then he pouted like a schoolgirl the third day. Did you see Trey Wingo call him out on TV? I mean, it's just, he took away from the, so we watched the draft here.
Mm-hmm.
We watched it on the NFL Network, and it was great.
Phenomenal, by far.
Yeah, Daniel Jeremiah is great. That whole group on the NFL.
They're solid. They're
Joel
consistent.
Klatt was on there as a guest host. I watched ESPN version the next 2 days, and oh my God.
Dollar General.
I watched it Friday. I watched the ESPN version. I went to a buddy's house and watched that, and it was, I mean, when Jalen Milrose got picked, I thought Mel was just going to clean the desk and walk it. Fuck it, it's done. And you know, Louis Riddick is very good, but they don't give him enough time to talk on there. And Mel just like, you know, I just can't hear Shador Sanders. Shador Sanders is there. If you're literally, so look at it. And then they show the highlight reel every time he talks. It's like, he was good, yes, but something happened in the NFL that I don't know what happened in the interview process. I'm not there. I can't attest to it. But somewhere along the line, a lot of GMs said, you know what? I'm not going to draft him here, you know. And first of all, I think Cleveland's going single wing this year.
I think so.
With all their quarterbacks. They're gonna have, or they could go Ishbing's offense. They could go double wing ace, and they could have Shador go in motion. He could be like the
wham block it out.
Wham block. He could be the jet guy. I don't know.
Well, I don't know what's more depressing. I know going off the Mel Kiper stuff, but the reaction video of Cleveland drafting Shador.
Oh my God. The GMs
looked like they were held gunpoint.
Yeah.
And I was actually trying to do some digging just to see, is like, okay, can you cut a player in the first 3 rounds and get like a comp pick? No, you can't, not in that way. So I don't know if the NFL is going to be changing that rule.
I have a theory on that.
Yeah.
I think Big Raj is like, okay, he needs to get drafted. I kind of dusted the Deshaun Watson thing under the rug. You're drafting Shador. You're gonna like it.
Oh, okay.
So that's my theory on that. I think Big Raj called. All right, you guys are gonna fuck it up anyways.
I have 3 more cases on Deshaun that I haven't released yet. Take your pick. That's a good. Yeah, it's actually not
because you're right though. I mean, it looked like someone was about to pull a pin in a grenade in that room.
Yes. Somebody had the video camera on him instead of the laptop, and
they looked like me when my plane landed in Columbus on Sunday. I think we bounced. I was like, oh, and all I can think about now is when I fly is that plane that was upside down on the landing. That's all I can think about now. So we bounced, and I'm like, hey, my fucking head. They're gonna video me crawling out of there. It's just like, really,
all have survived.
Yeah, but to me, ESPN needs to reassign Mel, or he can't have a big role. He's not very good anymore. So this year, you know me, I'm a draft junkie. Mm-hmm. I subscribe to the Todd McShay podcast on YouTube. I paid the money for his draft stuff. Mm-hmm. And he was really good this year.
He was. I think he's a part of
he's part of the Ringer now.
The Ringer, yes.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to a couple of his podcasts, and I know Bill Simmons had him on a couple of times. But you know,
him and Russillo used to do a ESPN. You can go ahead. I got a good story.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for Shedor's standpoint, I decided to pull up Travis Hunter's season highlights.
Yeah.
All but 4 were underthrown.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of look at it as like, yeah, there's 2 different standpoints of the Shedor situation. One, he goes to Colorado, and people don't realize that Colorado sucked. Like, sucked. Like, couldn't win a game, sucked.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you do have to put it into some consideration that, yeah, he did lead him to a bowl game. Not the greatest, stats or record. Yeah. But the other thing is retiring his jersey before the draft did not do well as well.
Well,
for that, there's no bowls, there's no banners, there's no conference championships.
Like Travis Hunter, I get he's a Heisman winner, but if that's the case, Colorado has to go back, and there's a bunch of people they could retire their jersey. Rashawn Salam, Deion Figures is still the best player to wear number 2 at Colorado. I mean, he was amazing. He was a decent pro. He went to Pittsburgh, but going back to McShay, not to age myself, but back in the mid 2000s, I used to live in Menominee. Sometimes I would just like golf on a Saturday instead of watch college football. Mm-hmm. And I'd have ESPN radio.
Oh.
And McShay and Russillo used to do the Saturday live show during college football games. It was unbelievable how good they were. I mean, it was like, that was when ESPN radio was just on fire with, Cowherd started there, and they had Mike and all that, and
SVP was on there as well, I believe.
I mean, it was tough to crack the daily, the daily shows that they had on there because they're all so good. And so on Saturdays at noon, it'd be McShay and Russillo doing the college football. Oh, let's go to Tennessee. And McShay was so knowledgeable about players and things like that. It was a great show, but
it was the Red Zone Network before the Red Zone.
Yeah,
Network.
It was a phenomenal show because they're both very knowledgeable in college football. But to me, Mel took away from a lot of people getting drafted. I thought like when Jalen Milroe, that's Jalen Milrose's moment. I mean, This is a kid that's, developed. He's still got a long way to go, but developed into a 3rd round pick in the NFL, which is great considering where he came from.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with Jalen Milroe that I like is he could be a Jalen Hurts type if he, gets
combo between Hurts and Lamar almost.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the last thing I'll say about Shedeur Sanders, and I wish him luck. I hope he has success. But if you watch his tape, and I don't know how many of you out there that follow our show watch the Aaron Rodgers documentary on Netflix. If you watch Aaron Rodgers' mechanics at the pro days versus Shedeur Sanders, it's not even close. Like Aaron Rodgers' mechanics were just crisp. Footwork was crisp. He's balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And Shadeur's like he's a back foot thrower. He sits in the pocket way too long.
He tries to make
he makes the home run play.
Mm-hmm.
There, the 5-yard outs there, take the 5-yard out. And I think he's just going to struggle in the NFL, but that's just my feeling on it.
My question to you is, who is ending the Cleveland Browns season at starting quarterback?
Oh boy, Dylan Gabriel.
I think so too.
He's a system guy, and I think Cleveland's just like he's going to make the 5-yard throw.
Unless if he transfers.
They should have the transfer portal in the NFL. Did you see Wisconsin has the transfer or the NIL now in high school?
No.
Yeah.
In high school?
In high school.
That's not.
Some dude's going to get like 5,000 from Kroll's or something like that to go play for Ashwaubenon or something. You know.
That's not good.
No, that's not good. But yeah, I felt that Mel took his anger and his bitterness took a lot away from a lot of the people that got drafted. That it's a success story for them. But you know, the whole thing, and let's talk about the quarterbacks. Okay. Quinn Ewers left Texas early with a year in eligibility. 7th round, Tampa Bay. He could have easily probably transferred to.
He was getting offers for quite some money.
Yeah.
Way more than a 7th round draft pick compensation.
Yes. So, I mean, you look at, you know, him, I thought Will Howard, it sounded like he begged Pittsburgh to take him when they called him. It sounded like he, you know, didn't want to go undrafted. This Shuck kid, they like a lot more than I do, the kid from Louisville. You know, but he has good mechanics. He's a big kid. He gets hurt a lot. 2 broken collarbones the last 3 years or something like that, last 4 years. So that's kind of, I mean, it should be really healthy now, but yeah.
You would think. I mean, the other thing is, I mean, I hope the one thing that I'm not a big fan of in the draft process is you go under injuries, you know, how many times did you hear barring injuries, you know, this, that, the other thing. Well, an NFL quarterback typically has the least risk of surgery, you know, barring the blindside block or
the Achilles.
The Achilles. But the point is just like, if he has good mechanics, like you're saying, if you're looking at the film and you're seeing that he's making his reads, you have him in the draft process, or you know, his interviews for the draft process, and it's like, okay, what happens if they go out and do a morphed cover 3 disguising as cover 4? What do you do? How do you recognize that, and what do you check into in that defense? And you know, you take that information because that's information they already learned. Now you're ahead of the schedule. Just get rid of the injury stuff as it is. I mean, that's just a chance. It's the NFL.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, it is going to happen. You're absolutely right. The biggest thing, though, like I was listening to Brady Quinn quite a bit last week, and he's just like the biggest thing for NFL general managers right now as far as drafting a quarterback in the first round, second round, or whatever, is that none of them are like, they don't have 3 steps of progression right now. Mm-hmm. Like he said, it's clap, ball, read.
First read
is defensive end. Second read is corner, if they can throw a bubble, or if, you know, the tight end or the slot goes behind. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like
third read run.
Yeah, third read, and that's what he said. That's what he said. Their third reads to run it, you know, and it's not that way in the NFL. And you know, he had an interesting explanation of it that was great. He said that with the transfer portal, he's like, the college system is so simple for quarterbacks to come in so that they just can come in and just like Will Howard at Ohio State. He came in and he was like, okay, I got first round best player in the NFL, in the NCAA. You know, they have receivers and all that everywhere. Mm-hmm. So it's just, I just got to get it out to them
in the general vicinity.
And let them make the play. Mm-hmm. It's not like they're making great throws. I'm concerned about Jackson Dart going to the Giants.
I'm concerned about God going to the Giants.
You know,
if God
would be concerned.
The betting on that for success, I don't think would be in the right way. It's just a place where quarterbacks go to die.
If you were, so besides like obviously playoff teams, you know, Eagles, Lions, mm-hmm. Chiefs. If you were a quarterback, say you were Arch Manning, which team would you go to that's kind of underwater right now? That you look at the coaching and say, okay, I could be okay there. Or am I going to be just, you know, a bumbling quarterback, or a good quarterback with a bumbling franchise?
I would say it would have to be a coaching change, but I am a fan of what they're doing as the Raiders. I don't think Pete Carroll, so it really doesn't go line to line, but I mean, Pete could rob tomorrow for his age.
Yeah.
But I like what Tom Brady's done, especially picking Gentry there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one. The Saints I would not want to be a part of. Jets I wouldn't want to be a part of. Even I'll be honest with you, is like once when all the quarterbacks get cut, maybe Cleveland.
Yeah. Will they cut a quarterback? They have like 5 now.
Yeah. They got a starting 5.
They got starting 5.
What about you? Where would you think?
I would go. That's a great. I mean, yeah, I never really thought about my answer, but I would go. I mean, I think. I don't know. I don't like Tennessee that much, just because. I mean, Pittsburgh would be the place to go because I think their defense is pretty good.
Pittsburgh would be.
I think their receiving core is pretty good. It's a little volatile, but it's going to be good. Because
receivers are prima donnas.
Yeah, Tennessee drafting the quarterback, and I've gave my opinion on that before because I think quarterbacks go to Tennessee to die. Is the fact that in the last 4 years they've traded Derrick Henry and the kid and the other one went to Philadelphia. AJ Brown. So I mean, it's like they traded their best talent, so you really don't have the receiving core or the stud running back to go with it. So, but yeah, Mel needs to go. That's my bottom line on that. It was kind of embarrassing, and it felt like a 4-year-old that didn't get what he wanted for Christmas.
Well, it's even funny. I seen something. It was like back in '98 when he first got on ESPN. All of the GMs and the owners were like, "Who is this guy?"
Oh, Bill Polian, '94
Colts.
Yeah, they wanted.
That was the video I seen.
Yeah, he wanted them to draft Trent Dilfer, and they drafted a tight end. I can't remember the guy's name, but yeah, I mean, Mel and Trent Dilfer was okay. He wasn't great. He won a Super Bowl, but I mean,
with a good defense.
Yeah, but I mean, he was in. I mean, if you look at Mel, not to pick on him, he was in love with Jamarcus Russell from LSU.
By far, one of the best stories I've heard in his pre-draft. When the Raiders,
Jimmy Clausen.
Yeah, Jimmy Clausen.
Yeah,
but when he got drafted to the Raiders, they gave him a blank tape to see which of the 25 plays. And he's like, they all look good. Yeah. And then they confronted him, Jamarcus, and they're like, there's nothing on here.
Yeah. But Well, and that's what they said about Shedeur Sanders. Like, he went to the Giants for an interview, and Dayball had, like, situational plays for him, and he didn't know what to do. 3rd and 6, this is your read. What do you do?
And just cold feet. And then there are some times where he's just like, I just don't think I'm a right fit here. It's like, Dion's said his word about there's certain teams that he wouldn't want him to go to or wouldn't allow him to go to. But at the end of the day, there's 32 teams.
Yeah.
People would be itching, in the draft process to get picked anywhere in the first 7 rounds, especially if you're an undrafted free agent.
I bet on Dallas to draft Jalen Milroe too.
Ooh.
Plus 2,500. I put $10 out there. I'm like, it's something Jared would do.
He's done it before. He acquired Trey Lance.
I was a little disappointed when they didn't do it, but oh well. We have to talk about Ohio State's receivers. It's
with due respect.
It's sick. It is sick. The receivers that they have that come out there.
And just to even think of the ones that didn't even go out to the draft this year, what they have coming up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the receiver, the freshman last year, he'd have been the number 1 pick this year. I mean,
yeah, he would have.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, but.
Well, and that's the whole thing with this draft. It was this kind of a crapshoot draft because of talent level. Let me reiterate, the early first round talent level was not elite as compared to prior drafts. Like McShay said, 17 to 65 is
flip a coin.
Is essentially everyone's rated the same. It's how you feel about them. Do they fit in your system? So I mean, it was just, but it's a fun draft. It was in Green Bay. They got everyone's like, oh, what a beautiful night on Thursday, and then Friday it's like raining, and everyone's got parkas on and hats and chooks, and it's like 45 degrees, and misting, and I'm like, yeah, welcome to Green Bay.
This year's draft was kind of like, you're golfing and you just have the common courtesy to let some people pass. It's like, here's a 2024 draft. We don't want to be anything to do with you. Let's get to the 2025 draft. Let's get to the 2026 draft.
Yeah. So I mean, it was fun. I'm at Green Bay. Looks like they did well. I mean, I've seen some pictures on Twitter of, the NFL was taking down the stage Sunday night. I mean, it's like it's like the Snacker and Ishpeming, man. As soon as that last game's over, they back her up. Yeah, they back up that semi and down go the courts, and it's back to normal in Green Bay. But I'm happy for Green Bay. I hope they did well. It sounded like they only had one arrest on Thursday night, which is good.
Yeah, it was pretty.
I looked at the police blotter. I had to. I mean,
why not?
Yeah, but all in all, good draft, fun to watch. It's always fun to watch the draft. I mean, the NFL's just made that an event, and it's such an improvement of where it was when I was younger, when it was in, Radio City Hall in New York, and there was like 200 people there.
Ooh,
yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, they used to have it in radio. They had the phones, and they had all the teams were lined up. Yeah, and they had a little green room for all the people that wanted to go there, but. I mean, and I like that Green Bay. I liked when Green Bay drafted their third round guy from Texas or fourth round guy from Texas. He was there. That was kind of cool.
He waited.
That was kind of cool. But yeah, it was all in all good draft. But next year I'm going to watch the NFL Network probably the whole weekend if Mel's still on the.
It caught my attention. The NFL Network.
Yeah.
Are you happy with Jerry's world?
Yeah, I mean he was kind of conservative, some good picks, some depth picks. Like I said, I thought he was going to do something stupid in the third round and draft like Jalen Milrose, just because their quarterback situation is not ideal. Dak gets hurt, Cooper Rush left, he went to the Raiders. I was like, all right, he's going to draft. And I was waiting to see Dallas moves up to 74, and I'm like, here we go, but it never happened. I think even Jerry. I don't think Jerry ran the draft. He didn't look that good.
No, he didn't.
No, it looked like their weekend at Bernie's a little bit. Jerry, the camera's on. Wake up. Hey. And that's the other thing.
Take out the IV.
One thing I have to say about the draft I think is absolutely ridiculous and stupid is when the camera goes to their war room and they all start high-fiving each other. It's like all you did was draft a guy that was going to be there. I mean, to me, it's just like,
it should be like the first three picks.
Yeah.
And then maybe a steal or a trade up to get him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Will Johnson falling was a little concerning, but this is the thing I think NFL teams are catching on to is like, you look at Will Johnson, he sat out the last 4 games, didn't play in the Ohio State game, didn't play in the bowl game. And I think that's a red flag for a lot of NFL teams. It's like, so I think the NFL brass in general is kind of looking at the collegiate model and saying, you guys got to play some of these games. You got to play against an elite opponent. I know you're saving yourself for the draft and you've had injury issues or whatever, but I thought there's a few that dropped just because they didn't play enough.
I would agree to that.
Yeah.
But, and I'm in agreement with the NFL for that. I mean, you go, if it's not the college football playoff, it's the opt-out bowl.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're still enrolled at a university, before NIL, you are on scholarship now, you're getting paid to play. You're legitimately getting paid to play.
Yeah. Yeah. You're getting in, but you look at like, I'm not a Michigan fan at all, but you look at their bowl game against Alabama. Everyone played besides the ones that didn't play against Ohio State. I mean, you go back 2 years ago when Ohio State lost to Michigan, and they played Missouri in the Sugar Bowl, and they had no one on their roster.
They're getting some red shirts.
Yeah. So I mean, I think some of these people enjoy that character. I think like Mason Graham going at 5. I think the fact that he stuck the season out, was an absolute dominant stud against Ohio State, dominant stud against Alabama. I think that helped him solidify his position. But yeah, next year it's in Pittsburgh, so the weather's not going to be great again.
Super Bowls in the nice weather, the draft in the crappier regions.
So Cody had his first round because the weather's been so bad around here. Nothing's open. So you had your first round of golf. How'd that go?
Yeah. Got invited to go to Manistee. Shout out Kyle Tiglis. He's like, golf course is open. He's like, yeah, I'll go there.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. That's what I'm thinking of Saturday. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? But weather's not going to be great on Saturday. It's supposed to be colder.
No. I guess they're going to try to do a soft opening at Wanawin. We'll find out here within the next couple of days. But no, it went well. Just a team scramble, 2v2, shot a 78.
Nice
weather. That was pretty good. Good weather for me. I mean, it wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
A little chilly, but
perfect Cody weather.
Perfect Cody weather. Yeah. Everybody else is bitching. I was in my polo.
Shorts.
No shorts. I did wear. It's off the lake, so.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes but in the summer, that lake warms.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
It is very nice. So, I'll be back up there for a scramble.
Perfect. I've been watching the NBA playoffs for a bit. I don't know. I like the Pistons Knicks series. I think is phenomenal, but I have to say something about the Miami Heat.
Yeah,
and this is okay. There's two things that embarrass the NBA to me. Teams quitting, like the Heat did against Cleveland the other night, or the whole series. I said, what was it? It was the record for the most points or combined loss by points or whatever it was. Record 55 on game 4. It was running clock in the first half. That's embarrassing to me. You're professionals, and it's not like they had big injury issues or anything like that. That doesn't happen in football. That doesn't happen in hockey. If you watch a hockey playoff game,
oh my God,
it's life or death for those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Out there. I mean, they'll literally die out there. Baseball, it doesn't happen. I mean, the NBA, it happens. That's what scars that league. That, and when they have the rest games or whatever they call it. What do they call it now? Load management. Those two things are killing the NBA, in my opinion. And I actually am enjoying. I watch playoffs. I watch the Pistons. I've watched Warriors in Houston. I'm watching the Lakers. God, I hope they lose tonight. But the opt-outs, the rest days, the load management days, and then teams just absolutely quitting in the playoffs are two things the NBA has to fix to make that product
a better product.
Yeah. Because, I mean, there's no way any playoff team in the NFL is going to beat another playoff team in the NFL by 70 points. So that's the equivalent of losing by 55.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen some blowouts, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, even Washington, the Washington-Philly score got out of hand. That was still a one-score game in the third quarter. It wasn't over at the half.
And I'll even attest to this last year, not to ruin on your Dallas parade, but when Green Bay beat Dallas 2 years ago, that was a 3-touchdown game before the pick 6.
Yeah.
They were driving.
Yeah.
That's a change. I mean, that's a huge change in momentum, especially for that. So I agree with you. I mean, you don't see absolute ass kickings in the NFL playoffs.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. So to the Miami Heat, I mean, they're all in Cancun right now. I should have stayed there a different week. I'd have been like, hey, there's the Heat. There's Tyler Hero. All right.
So in your experience watching the playoffs, what's your most interesting team, and what is the team that you think is actually going to win?
Celtics are going to win it all.
Celtics? Okay.
Yeah, I think the Celtics are going to win it all again. The most interesting team to me is Minnesota. If they win tonight, I mean, Minnesota is one of those teams after watching them beat up on the Lakers, and I loved what Ant did to LeBron the other night.
What did he do?
He was pushing him. Every time he came down the floor, he started pushing LeBron. He met him at half court, and and that's the thing. I mean, all you millennials who think LeBron's the greatest. Michael Jordan would torch Ant for 55 points and stare at him and talk shit to him if he ever did that to Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Even Michael Jordan at 38 would just absolutely said, okay, you want to go this way? You want to get in this hole with me? Go ahead.
Find out.
Yeah, find out. And that's what I hate about LeBron. He's just soft when it comes to those things tonight. And, I just wanted, because I think this trade's not going to work for the Lakers. And I think they're going to be back to square one in 2 years. But yeah, I'm go T-Wolves tonight. That's all I want.
Go T-Wolves. Never thought that'd come out here.
Yeah. The Pistons Knicks series is great. It's like old school games in the 80s and 90s.
Okay.
Last night was a phenomenal game. I stayed up for it, and yeah, it's just a great series. Cade Cunningham is unbelievable. I mean, he had a pass in the last minute last night. I was just like, ooh. I texted my wife who was watching. I'm like, did you get that pass? Yeah. But, that's a great series. I thought the Pistons got screwed on the 3-point shot in game 4. I thought that was a foul. And that's the other thing with the NBA that they should have reviews for like no call. I mean, you should be able to challenge something in the last minute.
Don't they get 2 challenges?
But like on a foul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
you get a challenge on a tip ball or whatever. But that was an atrocity as far as a no call. But yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Do you think that this Pistons Knicks series is kind of a rival of Cunningham?
Oh yeah, he's been phenomenal. He had a bad game 1, and since then he's been unbelievable. And I just like their roster. I like the little left-hander. I'm having a brain cramp on who that is.
I couldn't give you roster names.
He's been everywhere, but yeah, he gives them some nice minutes. I just like the Pistons. They play hard. I think Bickerstaff's a phenomenal coach. The only complaint I have about him, Doc Rivers, and all that is like, learn how to get an inbounds in, man. Like watching the Bucks meltdown last night. Did you watch that one?
Oof.
They're up like 4 with, and they turned it over twice in the last 30 seconds.
If that's not the worst organization to be dead to rights with their upcoming futures, and
they got to make the trade.
Oh yeah.
They got to say, okay, Giannis, we love you. We got one in 2021. Dame's going to be done. Thoughts and prayers to him blowing his Achilles. I mean, I think he's done. They have to do something to just take restart it.
Trade him to Chicago.
Oh.
I don't even think I'd still be able to watch.
No? Well, the regular season's tough to watch. It is tough to watch. Well, the other thing is that you have all the load management. You don't know who's going to be there.
Betting must be tough.
Yeah, betting must be tough. I mean, they must be like, is LeBron playing, or is he opted out today, or is Luka hurt? But yeah, playoff Jimmy is still alive for Golden State. I mean,
he just yes, he doesn't have the hardware to stay for it, but he is Mr. Reliable.
14 points the other night in the fourth quarter. And he talks a lot of shit too. It's hilarious. He called that guy a whining bitch right in front of the ref, and the ref's like, was that to me? No, that was to him. Yeah. But yeah,
was that to me? Yeah, that was to you.
That was to you. Yeah. But it's cool. Yeah, I've enjoyed it so far. Like I said, I've watched a lot. I actually, unfortunately, went to a sports bar in Columbus to watch the Cleveland Miami game, and I was like, oh. Why am I watching a JV game? The 40-2 at halftime game. It's like, oh, okay, all right. But yeah, so NBA playoffs are. I mean, it's getting fun. It's getting the Warriors are kind of showing their experience. Houston's showing their youth. Houston reminds me of Michigan State. They just can't shoot.
Fair enough.
Oh God, I had a conversation with a guy, because oh, you're from Michigan. Well, I mean, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I didn't want to get too much into.
But he talked about Michigan State, Auburn, and I'm like, did you watch? He's like, oh, the 5 rebounds. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's when I knew they weren't going to win. I was like, I said, my nephew and I have talked all year. They cannot shoot the 3. They cannot shoot the 3, and they needed to shoot the 3 against Auburn. And I think their 2 guards were like, 2 for 21 from the 3. Holloman and
looked like my putts outside of 6 feet.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, make my putts all the time. I miss COVID where you could just bang them off the foam.
That was hilarious. Shout out to my brother Jacob. That's Still some of the funniest crap. 4-footer, bang!
It hit the foam.
It went over the fence.
Yeah. It was like playing Golden Tee. Like,
Yes.
you have like a 4-footer and you just like rifle it. And it goes in no matter how hard you.
I beat the system.
Beat the system. But yeah, so my thing is like, what is going on in basketball where coaches can't manage late game situations? So I've watched, in the last month, you've had Duke meltdown. You've had Houston meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the Bucks meltdown. I watched the Pistons nearly meltdown last night. I mean, it's like, are the coaches so afraid to be that disciplinarian because of transfer portals? And in the NBA, obviously the players rule the roost. They can get a coach fired tomorrow. That they just kind of let it go instead of like, micromanaging that moment at the end of the game and saying, okay, listen, you listen to me this time, we're going to win. Let's get a good shot. Let's, not jack up a 3 with 16 on the shot clock. I think that's lacking right now in basketball, especially at the higher levels.
Well, I mean, even as like I was happier than hell when you've seen some video clips of JJ Redick losing his shit. And I get it, it's the Lakers, and aside from the team, I'm just looking at the coach, who is not happy because it's not like we were quiet in spoken coaches.
But in our huddles, I remember against Menominee in our regional final. I remember like I had like the 3 possessions mapped out. If they do this,
flip on Boston.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, if we do this, they do that. I mean, we had to play. Hunter's going to go deep. He's going to be open. Why? I watched the Pistons press break last night, and there's like one guy against 2 trying to get open. The other 2 guys are like half court
waving.
Yeah, throw it to me. And they end up getting it in on like a jump ball almost.
That's what happened to Duke.
Yeah.
Once when that thing started to peel over, it was the inbounds play on the full course press. Couldn't get it out.
The pass to the feet.
Yeah, the pass. It was just kind of like
But I mean, it's like, can't you like manage that situation better if you're a coach?
You should. I mean, and we're not there, but it's like, just the understanding.
Everything's going to be a switch.
Yeah.
If you screen, it's going to be switch. So
seal.
You're going to get you're going to seal, or you're going to get your speedy guard on a power forward that shouldn't be able to guard them. They should have patience with that. But that's one of my complaints about, not complaints, but just my observation right now is like, a 6-point game in the NBA with like 40 seconds left is
not over.
Not even close. And it's like a 6-point game in college for Duke with 1:11 with the ball is not over because they're not going to manage that situation properly. And it's like the other thing I complain about, and we'll go on a different subject, is
it's all Topher time, man.
No, scouting. You're scouting these games. You're scouting these situations. Okay, we know Houston's going to go man-to-man press, and they're going to be physical. They're going to be tough. They're going to switch everything. Shire, what are you going to do? And the other thing that baffled me, the more I read about the Duke loss, is that he had his offensive coordinator draw up the inbounds play. Grab the fucking clipboard, John. You're 60 seconds away from going to the national championship game.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If there isn't any world for a head coach, like just, say I was told you while you were coaching, I got to play. That never once came into my head.
Yeah.
No, this isn't.
This is. But so it's an interesting concept, and I'll observe it more obviously over the next couple of weeks as the NBA playoffs pick up. But yeah, it's just something. It's just the end of the game situations are just kind of interesting right now.
I would agree. I mean,
can you imagine live betting on it right now? I mean, you think about it. If you took Houston plus the money to win at the minute 11 mark of that game, I bet you it was like 350 to 1.
Yeah, you would have.
Yeah,
you would have been a happy man.
And if you did the same thing with Florida down 12 against Houston, and if you just said, "All right, I can get Florida 550 to 1," here we are, we're dancing again.
Well, you're going to see next year's March Madness be like that.
Yeah, I think so too. I'll be sitting here live betting. Okay, are they going to collapse? I'll be looking at their press breaks from like.
How's the coach's body language? Are they even talking to him right now?
Exactly. Yeah. So, That's my rant for today. Anyways.
Well, we're going to continue on to
more rants.
More rants, but your little trip to Columbus.
Yeah, I went to Columbus, Ohio for work. And first of all, I'm going to say it's a great city. It's, besides Ohio State being there, the downtown area is great. You have a minor league baseball team, the Columbus Clippers. You have a soccer team, the Columbus Crew. You have the Columbus Blue Jackets downtown. They have the downtown area is all renovated. It's actually owned by the county, who funded it all, and they're actually making money on it. I actually got a tour of Huntington Stadium. But yeah, it's a great city. I ended up going to a Clippers game last night. That 10-cent hot dogs.
Not the best hot dogs.
No, they look like patients at Marquette General. They're gray on the 6th floor.
It looks like an April
April
day in the Upper Peninsula.
And like families were like feeding them. I mean, like we had like there's like a family in front of me, and like all 4 people, because the limit's 5, had 5 hot dogs on their tray, and I was just looking at it like, yeah. I mean, you figure
$2.
Yeah, they're probably thinking, okay, I got the tickets for 6, so $24, and I fed my family for another 5. So
winning.
Yeah, split a soda and
can I get a cup of water?
Yeah, exactly. It was impressive. But yeah, I went to Columbus. The biggest thing is anywhere you go, like, where are you from? Michigan. And it's just like all of a sudden their shield goes up, their defense,
get away.
Their defense system goes up. Well, the first thing I got to tell you is, so I check in the hotel, and the lady's like, well, okay, any floor you want or anything like that? And I'm like, can I get room 1310?
Oh my God, no.
And she just looks at me, and she's like, we're gonna put you on the 16th floor. I'm like, okay.
You jack. That's good.
I was going to take a picture of it.
What was her facial expression? She knew right away.
Yeah, she just shook her head. Yeah. But talking to people there, okay, and Ohio State fans, I'm not picking on you, they're not over that game. And that national championship, as much as they want to prop it up, is like a half a national championship, talking to Ohio State fans. And all you have to do is, they're just like, the Michigan game. I mean,
they just go into a dumb
they're just like, I'm like, I'm kindly like, you're not going to win there next year, you know that. And they're like, well, Michigan. I'm like, Michigan's got dogs. Michigan's got dogs. They're going to be good next year.
Yeah, I mean, and Ohio State, had how many drafted?
14.
14.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, it was a fun trip. All in all, they were pretty nice. But yeah, as soon as you said I'm from Michigan, they're like, oh. And I told them the story about us watching the Michigan game. I said, well, my nephews are Michigan fans, so we're watching the games on our phones at the UWGB game, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, we gotta go to the sports bar and watch the rest of this. This is too good. But yeah, it is interesting. But it's a great town. It's a fun town. It's it's like great restaurants, lots to do. Yeah, it was fun.
Room 1310.
That's what I asked for.
That is good. That is good. Because that is one of your better ones.
Because they had like 20 floors, so it's like you could, like, my room was 1603.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been, so I asked for 1310.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah.
I like that.
No, I can be an ass when I want to be.
Hey, it still works if it's in your favor.
Yeah. Kentucky Derbies this weekend.
Imagine being a horse. If you, win the Triple Crown?
I'd love to be a horse. If
you retire at the age of 3,
and you just could stud you out.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like being an NBA player in Cancun,
Well, Ant tried to do that, and he had to fork over $1 million up front.
Yeah, exactly. But you win the Triple Crown, and we're gonna sit you in the field, and all right, here comes this mare. You can do what you want.
But no, it's always the Kentucky Derby is underrated in my opinion, especially for those who aren't very aware of it. It's just it's a different mindset. It's not like the Masters, but it's kind of got that aura of the Masters. Everybody goes there.
That's a great call. Yeah, you're absolutely correct on that. I like how the little, like, the small towns, like even in our area, Negauni's one of them bars probably going to have a Kentucky Derby party where they'll have mint juleps, which are disgusting, by the way. But everyone will be dressed up. The girls will have their hats on and all that. And I love that camaraderie that it can translate if you're not there. That, you know, bars or, you know, restaurants are smart enough to step up and have events like that. I think that's fabulous.
That and just, you know, people like betting.
Yeah.
And that is one of the, I mean, original legal betting haymakers, I guess you could say, beforehand.
Now I'm betting on the draft. I had a good draft. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, you had some winners.
I had Shador plus 20. 20.5 was his original pick. It was like 3.5 at one point, and then it went to 20.5 when the whispers started coming out that no one wants him. So I bet on that. That was an easy win. I had Mason Graham right at 5.
You were jacked on that one. You were very happy on that one.
Yeah. And then I had the over-under on quarterbacks in the first round. I took the under at 2.5. And when Jackson Dart traded up, I'm like, some idiot's going to trade up for Tyler Shuck, but they didn't.
Made it on time.
Yeah, so I won that one. And I did have my Jalen Milrose bet, which was like, would have paid me like $250 for $10 if Jerry would have did something dumb, which I was like, Jerry will do something dumb. So
you have a track record for this, Jerry. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. You know, I like greatness. You know. I don't think he knows where he is anymore.
No, he looks.
Yeah, he looks. I mean, he's old.
He looks like the hot dogs you ate.
He did. They should
the Clippers game.
They should $10 Jerry night. Put a little star on it. And,
yeah, I don't know. He's running out of skin on his face.
Yeah. Botox does that, man. Yeah, I always wonder what happened to his child support thing. Don't you remember? The one of his assistant secretaries like sued him for child support, and they wouldn't disclose the paternity test. I think he settled out of court with her. I wonder what that happened, but
I actually have no idea what you're talking about.
It was like 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago.
I honestly haven't a clue.
Yeah. So we're gonna go over Kentucky Derby's the horses' names this year and see what we think of them and what we think they mean. I know who I want to win right away. I can tell you who I want to win. We'll get to them.
Okay.
First one, Citizen Bull. I don't know what that means. What do you think that means? I mean, and the thing is like you have these rich, elite guys that buy horses, and who knows who maybe their kids name them. I don't know.
I think it's whatever. You could pick a name out of a hat. Could be a kid, could be you. I mean, I was looking at some of the previous ones. Yeah. There is some good ones. Citizen Bull, though,
that's just kind of average.
Average, not really much meaning to it.
No. What about Neaquis? That one I had no idea. I thought that was like
sounds like Aqua,
a Greek god or something like that.
Mythology. Like that.
Final Gambit, is that like there's a show? What's that show? The Queen's Gambit that's on Netflix, I do believe.
Could be that, or there's a lot of push in the Marvel universe. I think the most recent Deadpool movie had Gambit in there. Channing Tatum is actually acting that, so
that's a good call.
Could be of that, and the character of Gambit. I'm not a comic book nerd in any means. I like watching the movies periodically, but I mean, it's all about sleight of hand cards for Gambit, so that could possibly be something in there.
Rodriguez. Is that after Chichi Rodriguez, I wonder, the famous golfer that does the...
That could be.
I was trying to figure out, I'm like, Rodriguez, Alex Rodriguez, he buffed up on steroids or...
Horse growth hormones.
Well, that's the other thing about the Kentucky Derby. Bob Baffert is back after his 3-year suspension for PEDs in his horses, so... If you see the 3 biggest, and he has 3 horses in this one.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, the 3 biggest horses walk in.
God, the shoulders are massive on that one.
Look at that. Look at this. Yeah. American Promise. I'm assuming that's just kind of like a, I don't know, political.
You know,
one.
I was gonna say this sounds Republican.
yeah, that sounds Republican. Admire Daytona.
I could see the difference of that Daytona 500.
Luxor Cafe. Is that something in Vegas? The Luxor. That's like another, I think that's another Greek figure, Luxor or something like that.
That I don't have much knowledge on.
Journalism. I don't know what that is. MSNBC enter one. I don't know.
No, this guy got bullied as a kid.
He's rich. And,
he had an English major at first.
Yeah. Burnham Square is a city, I do believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
maybe where he got the horse.
Grande, is that like the Starbucks ender one or what?
Large.
A triple mocha grande with a splash of oat milk.
Splash of oat milk.
Oh, I got behind a couple of those too. I was dying for coffee because I don't sleep very well in hotels. So in our break, I went over to the Starbucks to get a coffee, and it's like a line of millennials, getting their, double latte shot, caramel, frizz. I mean,
I do have to laugh. I try to go to Cruising Coffee here there.
Yeah.
I went there and the whole rigmarole, what kind of milk? Just regular.
Yeah.
What's regular? Like,
no.
What?
Well, that's the thing. I got an iced coffee yesterday. I'm just like, I just want iced coffee. You want oat milk? Do you want almond milk? I just put something in there,
What? Did it come out of a nipple?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, Grande, I'm thinking that's like a Starbucks person. Flying Mohawk, I'm thinking that's a guy that likes Mr. T. He's a big fan of Mr. T, and he's I pity the fool that lines up against me.
That's good.
East Avenue, another weird one. I mean, there's a lot of East Avenues in
probably where they live.
Yeah. Publisher. I'm assuming
correlation with journalism.
Something journalism. Maybe that's the Bob Baffert ones. I haven't looked up the Bob Baffert's one, but I'm going to probably bet on them before they get disqualified. This is my favorite one. Tis-tastic. Hands, Cody. Hands. Good. Cody has a little post-traumatic stress disorder from his
high school basketball.
Varsity basketball days. Tis-tastic. That's the one I'm rooting for.
That's the one you're rooting for?
That's the one I'm rooting for.
Okay.
Render Judgment. That one.
Judgment Day?
Judgment Day. Could be, yeah. Coal Battle. I don't know if that's someone that likes fossil fuels or,
got all their money invested into the oil rigs.
Yeah. Hoping the Pipeline 13 opens up in a hurry. Got to pay for my horse.
Sign that executive order. Yeah. Get it going.
Sandman. That could be a Metallica fan.
He probably had to add just Sandman because Enter Sandman has got to be trademarked.
Yeah.
I would assume.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that's a Metallica guy. Sovereignty. I don't know. Is that like a religious guy or, the sovereignty of life?
Finding peace.
Having that moment to mentally recollect yourself. I don't know. Chunk of gold. Probably what it cost a guy to buy the horse. So I'm assuming he's just going to say, I cashed in some gold bars to buy this thing at $3,467 an ounce right now. So
hopefully the horse isn't fool's gold.
Yeah, fool's gold. That would be the one.
I'm not going to lie. I would pick Mr. T.
Yeah,
Flying Mohawk.
Flying Mohawk. I pity the fool that lines up to me.
That is good.
So if you came up with some great names from the past for horses.
And I know the one, I know you had it in here. If you were to pick one, I already got it.
Yeah.
And this one, it just popped up because this is what I do.
Yeah.
In bars.
Yeah.
But
what would yours be?
Mine would be Irish Goodbye.
Irish Goodbye.
I'm here. Nope, I'm gone.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in first.
Yeah. I don't know what mine would be. Probably mine would be the white
dual citizenship.
Yeah, dual citizenship.
For all your times in the Wisconsin area.
Trickle speed, maybe.
Oh, trickle speed.
Yeah,
that would be good.
In honor of Dick Trickle, one of my favorite short track racers ever. Yeah. I mean, there's some other ones. I mean, you can, I mean, if Charles Morrison owned one, it could call it First and 50.
First 50.
Yeah.
You could make it, I'm not a third round pick.
Yeah. I'm not a third round pick. I mean, the names are, it's kind of a boring list of names this year. Like, someone rated them like a C. For the names.
Well, and that was the thing, is like, I was looking at the list and I was looking at some of the past years. I was like,
oh, yeah.
There's some good ones. 2004,
Curse Reversed. Obviously, you was Boston guy. 2008 is awesome.
Lewinsky.
Hopefully the horse didn't suck.
Yep.
Those are my favorite pictures on Twitter when they have a picture of President Clinton. Like, most people don't know there's two people in this picture.
It's a good oval.
And I liked Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, to this day, and I'm old, the Clinton presidency was like the best economic time.
I've heard that from so many people.
It was like gas was like 87 cents a gallon. He was great. I mean, Clinton was like one of the top presidents ever. I mean, and it's interesting, that he doesn't get the love that he should have, in my opinion. Like, he's a Mount Rushmore guy. I mean, America was great under Clinton. It was like we were great as far as national security, economically we were great. Yeah, I mean, infrastructure. I mean, the economy was so good under Clinton. When I worked for American Foods Group, we could not find people to work for us because unemployment was so low.
Wow.
So we had to actually fly private jets to Mexico, get people green cards and citizenship to come and work on our kill line. That's how good the economy was back then. But
I mean, I've heard only good things from that time period. I was a little too young at that time, but
yeah. Turducken, that has to be a Madden one.
That is a John Madden one.
Yes. Can you imagine thinking, I seen that. Can you imagine John Madden with this version of the NFL?
Oh my God, no. It'd be great entertainment to hear him.
It'd be great. Do you think that he would get censored?
Easily. Anybody, I am a firm believer that anybody pre whatever happened would get censored. Because if you look at all the announcers before, there was some off the color crap that would be said that was just kind of pushed underneath the table.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, because everything's censored, I think that, I mean, you look at some of the commentators now, they say something that's even half in the punch bowl. They're sending out an apology letter because they didn't even
and it's on
try
Twitter
to.
And no, I agree 100%. Because I mean, some of the stuff he would say, they're just not. He would criticize coaches during the game, which I mean, he was just raw.
Well, his ultimate one was the one where he was wrong in the Super Bowl with Brady.
Yeah.
I just think that they should run out the clock and go to overtime, and he completes a little pass to the running back and then a over the middle route, and all of a sudden, at least to his credit, he corrected him. I was like, I was wrong.
Yeah, he was wrong.
This is great, but I think he would get censored.
That's the difference between him and Mel. Mel thinks he's still right.
You can't convince right people they're wrong.
I know, exactly. And then, that's what she said. Obviously, The Office. Yep. That's a great one. There's some other ones there's like Seattle Slew I think they won 2 out of the 3, and some other ones. But yeah, this year's horse names are kind of bad. I want Tiztastic. But yeah, I mean, that's interesting. Like you think about Matt, like even like Seinfeld, like people, the younger generation's offended by Seinfeld. Some of them are. And it's like, that was like the greatest TV show. That and The Office and Scrubs. Oh, my Scrubs.
Scrubs is awesome.
Dr. Cox.
Oh my God. A Dr. Cox treatment now would put millennials, Gen Zers in the mental ward.
Yes.
I mean, good thing for Dr. Cox. He's 2 floors below the mental ward.
He is. Yeah, that was like one of my favorite shows. I think I have all the DVDs on that one.
But that was the first TV show I actually got into.
Was
Scrubs.
Scrubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love that show. I mean, Dr. T, Turk there, and newbie.
Yep.
But yeah, if you're listening, you should come up with some good horse names and send them in.
Yeah, send them in.
What's our email address?
Going42review@gmail.com.
We'll be on Spotify. We'll be on YouTube, hopefully with audio this time. Twitter, Facebook.
Yep. X.
Facebook. MySpace.
AOL. AIM.
AOL.
Did you ever have AIM?
Yeah, I had AIM.
You did have
AIM? Yeah. I think I was Urban 2409 was my...
So right around that time.
Yeah, I liked Urban Meyer. I was talking about a guy about Urban Meyer today or yesterday too at the baseball game.
What was his take on it? Or what were you guys just talking about?
We were talking...
That he misses them? Or...
they, and the whole thing is like Ryan Day just won a national championship, and it, like I said, it just feels artificial.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it'd be like if you were a wrestler and you got to the state championship and the other guy like blew out his knee.
Oh,
like a second into the match and you won the match. That's how I kind of feel like Ohio State fans feel like.
Okay.
Like
that's a good analogy.
Like the one guy said, he's like, yeah, we won like a random playoff. And I was like, well, you guys played well. I'm trying to be positive with him. And he's like, and the other thing is I didn't meet a Penn State fan who's just still like in
denial.
He's more in he's in the stages of grief right now from the Notre Dame game. He's like, I never thought we'd lose that game. I'm like, really? He's like, never. He's like, I that game like crushed me. And he's just like, I don't think we can get anyone better than James Franklin, but he's just like, that game absolutely crushed me. He's like, I thought we'd win that game by 3 touchdowns. I was like, wow.
Die Hard.
Yeah, Die Hard. Good.
Did he do his background check on it? Because he thought it was going to be did he elaborate more as to why he thought they were going to win by 3 touchdowns?
He thought that they could get out. He could get Tyler Warren some more looks. He just thought defensively they would just. He didn't think much of Notre Dame. He's like, all you got to do is stop the run and stop Riley Leonard. And he's just like, the fact that we gave up the big play when we took the lead in the fourth quarter, and what was it, Whitehorse or whatever his name is? Mm-hmm. He's just like, that should never happen. We should never be running that coverage at that time of the game. Make Riley Leonard, complete 4 or 5 passes instead of hitting a home run and taking the lead.
We'll end the podcast. I got this question for you. Who does it? Who has it worse, or who screws it up more? Basketball coaches recently in end of game situations, or defensive coordinators in end of game situations?
Defense coordinators.
The amount of prevent defense I've seen to where they've been able to make plays and get into field goal range, or the fact that they'll just like press or they'll get burnt on a coverage.
I mean, to me, okay, if you're let's say Notre Dame, Penn State. No, that's not good. Notre Dame, Georgia. You defensively just play your game. Just play what's gotten you to that game, that point. That's the thing I love about Michigan against Ohio State. Even when it was 13-10, I mean, they never wavered from their game plan. They put pressure on Will Howard.
We're throwing it 5 times. If we've thrown it 4 with 2 minutes left in the fourth, we're only going to throw it one more time.
And it's like they didn't go prevent. They sent a backer every time, and they stayed within their. This is our game plan. We've held them to 10 points for 58 minutes.
We can do it for 2 more.
Yeah,
if we stay to the game plan.
Yeah, I hate that, and I don't know how. I mean, and you and I don't know the dynamics because we had 3 people on our football staff, and these people, these teams have multiple
personnel.
You have sideline guy, you have 2 up in the box, usually both.
Michigan had somebody who could read signs.
Yeah,
that was good.
But it's just, the end of the game defensive meltdowns are just kind of like Florida Ole Miss. I mean, that was a meltdown game. But then you look at the other end, Florida played they played all game and they forced Jackson Dart into 2 really bad throws.
Really bad, isn't it?
Yeah, really bad. Welcome, Giants fans.
Because wasn't one of them called off?
Yes,
he should have. Well, he threw one the next play.
Yeah, the next play. After.
That's what it was.
But I don't know. I mean, I like. Yeah, I mean, they're both bad, but the thing is like the basketball ones are more manageable in my opinion. You have timeouts, and that's what I hate when.
Good point.
Coaches take like. The loose ball with 16:43 left and your kid dives on it and you got 4 opposing players surrounding them. Just take the jump ball. Don't call timeout. Save that timeout for
end of game situation.
Yeah, minute and a half left when you can't get the ball in bounds. And like Duke, for example, the one kid couldn't get the ball in bounds and they let him throw it in again and they threw it off a knee. It's like the lack of adaptation at that point and understanding like all we have to do is just get the boat to the dock. Don't hit it. Don't run out of gas. And they're both kind of equal, but I think defense coordinators, because they go against so much of what they've done all game.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that.
Where basketball, it's like, if you're scouting and okay, Houston's down by 10, they're going to press. How do we handle that press? That should be more of a preparation moment than an adaptation moment. Like that should be, like you and I mean, it's like we play against Jeffers. It's like, okay, they're going to go man-to-man press. Then they're going to go to his own press. And they're going to do, you prepare for that regardless of the situation. So your kids should be prepared for that moment, that situation. Defense coordinators, like you're asking your kids not to be aggressive.
That's true. Really taking a turn on that whole physicality situation. No, you're right. Mm-hmm.
So that's just my thoughts on it. What are your thoughts?
No, I would agree with you on that. Basketball, it's definitely more manageable with the timeouts, more direct, face-to-face contact. It's not like you burn a timeout in football. Your defense coordinator is up in the booth.
Should I ask? Okay, so let me ask you this. Okay. One pet peeve of mine, and I want you to answer this question. You're up, let's say Florida's playing Ohio State in the semifinal next year. Florida's up 6. Ohio State starts driving with like a minute left. Florida has 3 timeouts. Is it not socially, but like, is it acceptable to call a timeout, bring your team over and kind of regroup?
With 3 timeouts left?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why do the defensive coordinators never do that?
Because I think I think in the situation that coaches review, whether it's preseason, regular season preparation, is okay, what is our 30-second drive mentality with 3 timeouts? It's vastly different from 2 timeouts.
So you think that the offensive staff's just like,
we're not burning
one.
Yeah, the offensive staff is dominating this because points win games.
Yeah.
Even though I would actually disagree on that. If you can control your defense and get them huddled up, you still have 2 timeouts left. Also, you're almost playing to lose because you're thinking you're gonna give up the lead.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of that. Even if they do score, you still have the mentality was like, they're not scoring. They're not getting in a field goal range. We're going to put our best defensive principles out there to win. If you have to burn a timeout, and I would only go up to 1 timeout for it. But
because you look at that, like the Packers when they lost to the Broncos in the Super Bowl, there's thoughts that they're letting them score so they could get the ball back instead of like dogging up and trying to get a turnover or something, change the complexion of the game.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of teams giving up points to go down to try to take the lead again. I think people have gotten into their heads, whether it's seeing Patrick Mahomes score in that little of time, that anybody can do it. No, you can't.
No.
Play the down to live the next down.
And my thing is like pressure matters. Like I mean, you have a finite percentage of quarterbacks that can handle severe pressure. You have a majority of quarterbacks that are like Will Howard against Michigan. I mean, the 4th and 10 play, he threw like a 4-yard out that landed
If that doesn't scream lack of confidence, I don't know what does.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like, because they put pressure on them, that pressure was there. And one more thing and we'll sign off. But like, there's a reverse side of that. Still the best coaching move I've seen in a while is the East Jordan Iron Mountain game, where East Jordan was driving to win, and they called a timeout for no apparent reason whatsoever. And they let Marty dial up, a weak side backer blitz, crush the quarterback, fumble, game over. And two things, East Jordan had the momentum. The second thing is Iron Mountain adapted. They didn't say, we're in prevent. Marty's like, we're going to win this thing or we're going to lose this thing on this play. And they won that game on that play. And, that took big balls because, I mean, if they hit the kid on a fly route, everyone's like, why was he blitzing?
Yeah. There's always a counter.
Yeah. But that was like, to me, that was one of the more impressive things. And in my coaching side, officiating that game, I was like, why did you burn that timeout? So anyways, final shout out thoughts.
Shout out.
Good to be back.
What about yours? Do you got any final shout outs?
Like I said, I shout out to the athletic directors and spring athletes right now. It's been a struggle. Hopefully you have a good May, especially for seniors. You can finish your senior season strongly and have some good memories as far as your spring sports. And shout out to Columbus, Ohio. I was impressed. Besides the defense mechanisms going up every time they asked me where I was from. I mean, I think I could have said Russia and they'd have been fine. Yeah.
I spy.
We beat
Russia.
you in 1980.
Did you beat us in 2024?
Exactly. So, great city, a lot of fun, great conference. I learned a lot, so I was pretty happy with it.
Nice. Yeah, I'll piggyback. Shout out to the ADs, coaches, and players. Make a count. You're missing some opportunities due to this lovely weather we have up here in muck season. When you get out on the field or track or tennis court, golf course, anything like that, make it count.
Make it count. Enjoy it. So, all right, we're going to be back next week. We'll be back to our kind of regular schedule, barring any travel arrangements, technical difficulties. But I hope everyone's had a great April. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Check us out on Twitter, X, Facebook. What's our email address?
goingfor2review@gmail.com. Feel free to reach out, inquiries, questions, cut us down. If you're not a fan on some of the topics, feel free. We'd like to hear you.
Yeah. If you have any other topics you want us to discuss, let us know. Thanks for listening. This is the Going for Two podcast with Cody Kugler and Christopher Magnuson, and we'll talk to you next week. Have a great week, everyone.
Have a great night.